Happy 2021. It's a new year and a new opportunity for us all to do better with our finances. So, a cool thing that happened for me since the last video is that Men's Health published an article about me and my debt free journey in their January February edition. So, very appreciative that they reached out on Instagram and I got the opportunity to share my story. Nonetheless, in this video, I will be providing a 2020 debt free journey wrap up. Specifically, I'll talk a little bit about my background, talk about why I decided to start my debt free journey, highlight some of the key moments throughout 2020 that helped me to reduce my debt by over $26,000. And then lastly, I'll end with my top 3 financial goals for 2021. You just got to get started. Welcome to my channel. I'm Harlan D. White, where I'm focused on debt elimination and personal finance education. On my channel, I'm sharing my debt-free journey with the world, seeking to be as transparent as possible as I eliminate almost $50,000 in debt. The goal being to encourage and inspire others on their debt-free journeys by sharing what I'm learning along the way. So if that's of interest to you, please make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified of future videos. So the first topic that I want to cover is what I do for my day job to provide some context for my current income. So I'm 38 years old and will be turning 39 next month in February. Educationally, I have a bachelor's degree in computer engineering, although I've never worked in engineering. Instead, over the last 10 years, I've been working in a variety of different procurement roles, mostly with Fortune 500 companies, where over the last 4 years, I've been working specifically in global sourcing, managing hundreds of millions of dollars in category spend, and my current base salary is a little over $100,000. And since 90% of the time I say what I do, no one knows what I'm talking about, I'm going to give a quick explanation. So my primary responsibility is around developing strategic partnerships with suppliers that either reduce costs, reduce risk, or increase efficiencies for my organization. And in my role, there's a large emphasis on the US, but I do have global responsibilities depending on the category. All right, so why did I start my debt-free journey? Well, like many people, getting out of debt was one of those things that I had been putting off for many years. And I'd say a big contributor to that was my spouse and I not being on the same page when it came to finances. And it's a topic I've never talked about on my page before. However, I do think it's a very important topic. Let's rewind back to October of 2019, which was one of the most difficult periods of my life, but it was also where I got the inspiration to get started on my debt-free journey. It was a month where my spouse and I had decided that it was best for us to separate, and it was also the month that my mom was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And it was only the month before in September that she really started showing signs that something was really wrong. So I went to go visit her early in October of 2019. And this is a picture that I took upon leaving. And at that point in time, it didn't look good, but it seemed like we would get the opportunity to go through chemo and see whether or not she could fight the battle. However, it ended up being a lot worse than we had thought, and later that month, she ended up passing away. Obviously, the loss of a loved one is devastating and forever life-changing, and I've mentioned this in other videos, but the reason I bring it up again is because one of my regrets was that I didn't get the opportunity to see her more often when she lived in Florida and I lived in Illinois because of the mismanagement of my finances. And so it was at that point I determined that I never wanted to be in that position again. I talk about it a little bit more in my very first YouTube video, and I'll put a link of that video in the description below. All right, but fast forward to December 2019, and I moved in with my brother. So Coco wanted to interrupt my video recording. Now let's fast forward to December 2019. My wife and I separated and I moved into a townhouse with my brother. So I haven't done a budget video in a while. I'll do more this year, but some was wondering what went into my budget category called family. And so that's the money that I give towards my spouse and my 2 stepkids. I have a son who's 14 and a daughter who's 19. I haven't talked about the separation, but I did feel like it was a good thing to share since there's a lot of statistics out there that say money is the #1 cause of divorce. And so I'm sure a lot of people out there can relate. It was around this time that I realized that if my financial situation was ever going to change, it was going to be up to me. And I really like this quote by Gardner. When the road gets tough and you find yourself gazing hopefully out toward the horizon, remember this: the cavalry ain't coming. When it comes to personal finances, it really is up to you to save yourself. And we shouldn't expect anyone else to come in and do it for us. And it's not just a matter of making more money, it also requires a shift or a change in your behavior as well. But I do believe that everyone needs a strong why. And for me, my strong why was knowing that I knew better, knowing that I could do better, and then knowing that I wanted to work towards putting myself in a situation that I never had to stress about money ever again. So that's what motivated me to get started on my debt-free journey. Okay, so now I want to walk through some of the milestones of my debt-free journey in 2020. I'm not going to go into all the details about how I actually paid off the debt. I have tons of videos about that. One of them being the 6-month update you can check out, and also I'll have a debt-free journey playlist as well that you can check out. All right, so starting in January 2020, it was around this time that I decided to use a bonus that I plan on getting in the March timeframe to start paying off my debt. And in the meantime, I started pulling my credit reports and collecting information about my outstanding debts. I also started focusing on ways that I can improve my money management and certainly made sure I spent within my means. But when March 2020 came around, two things happened. Number one, this is when the US economy started to shut down because of the illness. And number two, this is when I discovered that I have to pay almost $10,000 towards taxes because I had to file separately. Both of these caused additional uncertainty, and so it was at that point I decided to push back my debt payoff until the May timeframe. In May, I actually started paying off debts, and I started with my medical debts first because I found out that I could use my HSA or health savings account to pay off those debts. In June, I didn't actually pay anything towards debt because I was in the planning phase to relocate from Illinois down to Florida to spend time with my dad. This was actually a decision I had made shortly after my mom had passed away, and so when my brother and I moved into that townhouse, I signed up for a 6-month lease, and then he allowed me to extend it for another month and a half until I was able to move. In July, instead of paying off moving expenses of around $2,000, I decided to give away most of my stuff, and then I also decided to sell my gym equipment and some golf clubs to make about $2,000. And so when I drove to Florida, I pretty much only put what I could fit into my car. And the most important part, towards the end of July, I started documenting my journey on YouTube so that I can encourage others in their debt-free journeys as well. When I got to Florida, that's when I really got aggressive and started paying off my debt. And I started with reaching out to collection agencies and negotiating settlement payments for those debts that were in collections. I also made a commitment to myself that I would pay a minimum of $1,500 per month towards my debt as well. And as a result, during the July, August, September timeframe, I was able to make a lot of progress because of those settlements and because I had extra money still left over from my bonus and the $2,000 that I received from selling my gym equipment and golf clubs. In September, I discovered the magic of zero-based budgeting, which I discuss more in this video here. Pretty much during the October through December timeframe, I was really focused on paying the at least $1,500 a month towards my debts, and one of the months I got an extra paycheck, so I put more towards my debt in that month, and that doesn't include the amounts that go towards my 401k loans because that amount comes out of my paycheck each and every single time I get paid. Also within that October-December timeframe, I did purchase the laptop that I had saved up for, and I've made a couple trips up to Illinois. I'm actually in Illinois now to see my family, and every time I make these trips, it increases my expenses, but I've still been able to stay on target towards paying off my debt. So at a high level, that's what the progression of my debt-free journey looked like for me in 2020. And I encourage everyone, the most important step is to just get started wherever you're at. In hindsight, I definitely could have started paying off my debt sooner because earlier in the year, I was still making purchases that were unnecessary, things like watches, things like headphones, going golfing every week. However, I was at a place where I was stress-free financially, which I had not been in a long time because of the improved money management, as well as having extra cash in savings. So although I didn't start actually knocking down my debt aggressively until July of 2020, overall, I'm very excited and happy with the progress that I made last year. All right, so here's my final numbers for my debt-free journey in 2020. As you can see, I was able to pay off a cable bill debt, my medical debt, which was several, a personal loan, my state taxes, my credit card number 1, an installment loan, and my credit card number 4. So the remaining debts that I have left is to finish paying off my federal taxes, paying off my credit card number 3, my credit card number 2, and the 2 401k loans that I have outstanding. So in total, the remaining debt that I have to pay off is $22,748. And if you see at the bottom, since May of 2020, the amount that I've been able to reduce is $26,921. So again, I can't complain about the progress that I've made so far, and I'm looking forward to doing even more in 2021. All right, so the last topic that I want to cover today are my top 3 financial goals for 2021. So my first goal is giving. So I want to start giving more in 2021. In 2020, I did set a budget category for giving, but I found myself oftentimes stealing from it when I went over budget in a different category. So instead, in 2021, I want to prioritize giving. And the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to start in January giving 1% of my gross income towards charity. And then each month, I want to increase it by 1% until I get to 10% giving. So that should be the October timeframe. So the second goal area is in investing. And I want to increase my 401k contribution from 1% to 6%. And that way I can take full advantage of my company match. So my company specifically matches 100% of 1% and then 50% of every percent up to 6%. For most of last year, I was contributing 5% towards my 401k. However, the August, September timeframe, I reduced it to 1% so that I could have extra money to put towards paying off debt. But in 2021, I've decided that I do want to take full advantage of that company match. So just a reminder, it is okay to change your mind as you're on your debt-free journey. And lastly, the third goal is to get out of debt in 2021. And looking at my numbers, if I were to only pay $1,500 per month towards my debt, then it would take me 15 months to actually get out of debt. However, I am planning on getting another bonus in March. I'm not sure how much that will be, but I definitely want to put the majority of that towards paying off debt. And I do intend on finding some other sources of income this year to help me knock out that debt by the end of the year. Ideally, as a stretch goal, I'm going to figure out a way I can do it by this summer. But if I get it done by the end of the year, I will be happy as well. And as always, if you like the video, please make sure you like the video, share with anyone else that you think would be interested in this type of content. Subscribe if you haven't already, and comment below if you have any questions. Until next time. And hit that subscribe button as well as hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos. Upstairs.